Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm checking out the MPOW M-Dots, a $25 physical button dot style earbud that MPOW sent me to review. They just want my feedback and my review. I'm not getting paid for this review. I'm just putting these M-Dots through my normal set of tests. I want to test their specs, their latency, their sound quality, their microphone quality, and I'm going to give you my impression of whether or not you should buy these really inexpensive $25 earbuds on Amazon. And stick around to the end for my comparison to several other inexpensive MPOW earbuds. I mean, MPOW is quickly becoming very competitive at making very inexpensive earbuds. They all have that signature sound that MPOW produces with the Bass Plus, and their mics are usually tuned to pick up voices really well. And these M-Dots fit that pattern, but the M-Dots are unique in a way. The physical buttons will appeal to a lot of people. They're different than a lot of the other inexpensive earbuds with touch controls. And just like the MPOW Solo that I recently reviewed, the physical buttons on these M-Dots are really easy to use, especially in the winter while wearing gloves. And you rarely make mistakes while clicking these buttons. And these earbuds are a fairly long earbud. I mean, they completely fill my ears, and I have to be very selective with which wingtips I install on them, otherwise they get a little bit too tight in my ears. They do come with 3 sizes of ear tips and some different sizes of wing tip, but I do think that those among us with the smallest of ears might not find these extremely comfortable and might want to seek other earbuds. In my ears, these give a super tight seal, especially with the wingtips. They are totally locked into place. They're giving me both a ton of passive isolation, and they're also, I guess because they don't really move at all with the wingtips installed, there's very little inner ear pressure while I'm wearing these. So somehow, I don't really understand how that could be, but somehow with that, I can recommend these for high impact workouts and even for running, even though I totally would rather reach for the MPOW Solos before reaching for these for any kind of a running type of workout. But I can understand the appeal of the dot style. Now the case is small, it definitely fits in my 5th jean pocket without any issues. The lid and hinge are probably areas where MPOW saved a little bit of money. They're pretty basic, but they're functional. And the buds themselves are super easy to get in and out of the case, and the charging connectors work excellently. This case charges via micro USB cable, which is a little unfortunate, I have to admit. And the buds last only about 4 hours per charge and 20 hours using the case, which I think is probably, about the bare minimum in this day and age. The case has one very informative light that indicates how much juice is left in the case. When it's white, it's got 100%. When it's green, it's somewhere below 100 down to about 60. And when it's below 60, it'll be red. And that's, I guess, enough indication for when you should be recharging the case. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that red is only under 60%, but I think it would make a lot of sense to my wife, who seems to think that that's when you should fill the gas tank on your car, when it's below about 60%. Now these don't have active noise cancellation, but like I mentioned, they do block a lot of noise passively. Now they support AAC for high definition audio, and watching videos, they work well on Netflix. And on YouTube, I would say I experienced just a slight lag between the sound and the source. I think you get used to it, but it wasn't like perfect. Now, here's how my tests indicate their latency, which is really a rough indication of what you'd experience in the gaming mode. It's not nearly as accurate as the manufacturer's latency. I would just use it for reference to the other earbuds that I've tested. Now without a low latency mode, I don't recommend these for gaming. They're just a little bit too laggy to play video games. The physical controls themselves control everything on these earbuds, including volume and the voice assistant. Now, I think many people probably prefer physical buttons, I mean, they're seemingly more reliable and they're probably more intuitive for new earbud users. And I would definitely give these physical earbuds, a 2 thumbs up. They're good controls. I will remind you that you're going to have to learn to push the buttons without jamming them too hard into your ear canal. But if you're new to earbuds, you take the time to figure out the different angles that you can press the buttons so that you press it into the side of your head and not into the depths of your ear canal, which can be very uncomfortable. It's only going to take you a couple of minutes to maximize the angle of how you press the buttons and enjoy these physical button controls to their maximum potential. Now the Bluetooth range on these tested out at an okay 41 feet, which is about what is advertised. I think, in my opinion, on the M-Dots, the Bluetooth range is not one of their strongest features. I had some issues inside my house walking around as I crossed over multiple walls that they didn't appear to be as strong as some of the other buds on the market. But I will say that MPOW made the Bluetooth connection extremely simple. One connection to your device for both stereo and using either bud in mono mode. And I think one thing that's actually really nice is that the earbuds connect to your device as soon as you open the case. So by the time you open the case and put one of these into your ear, they'll be paired and ready to go. These earbuds are IPX6 rated, so feel free to use them in the rain or for any kind of heavy duty workout where you would get sweaty. On to that MPOW sound quality. Now the sound quality of the M-Dots is pretty typical for MPOW. You got that strong bass, you even get sub bass with these, and you get that boosted set of high frequencies, and the vocals are pretty up front and center on the soundstage. But you don't get a ton of detail in the mid-range. And I think it's a really good sound signature for working out, and it'll definitely keep you motivated in your workouts. Plus, you could crank these earbuds up to about 100 decibels, as I measured them, which is, it's louder than anyone should listen to earbuds. That volume is there if you need it. So for this review, I tested these earbuds using both my holiday earbud playlist and my normal Spotify playlist. I'll put the links in the video description below so you can check out both of my playlists that I use to test earbuds. And with these, you're gonna hear, these produce a really tight, powerful bass, sub bass, even at pretty low volume levels, which I think is pretty impressive for a $25 earbud. And I'm happy to say that the bass doesn't really get very boomy or out of control at reasonably loud volume levels. Lastly, MPOW has a mic on each earbud, but there's no kind of environmental or CVC noise canceling on these mics, so I expect them to be MPOW solid for picking up voices in quiet, but let's see how they do with some traffic in the background.
This is a test call from Google Voice using the MPOW M-Dots. This is a dot-style earbud with physical button controls. I think MPOW even makes a better line in the M30 for people with smaller ears, even though there's touch controls. If you're really into these physical controls, this is just a slightly larger size earbud, and they really fill my ear up from front to back. I'm not talking about how deep they sit in my ears. Actually, the way they sit in my ears is great because they don't move at all. So when I walk or when I run, when I work out, they don't make a lot of noise in my ears, even though they give me a really tight feel. They're just held in place so tightly between the wingtips and the sides of the bud itself that there's just no real occlusion whatsoever. Now, I've had a couple of cars go by on this call, but with the MPOW M-Dots, these don't have CVC8 noise canceling. These are just, one mic per bud. And MPOW historically does a really good job of tuning their microphones so that you pick up everything that you say, but they just don't historically block any background noise. Well, I mean, not historically. They're not designed to block background noise. So these should be, in typical MPOW fashion, a great earbud for taking calls if there's no noise in the background, but if you're in a noisy environment, they won't be so great. So that's giving you the rundown on the MPOW M-Dots, and it's very loud. That's giving you the rundown on the MPOW M-Dots, and it's very loud stuff. And that's going to do it for my test call with the MPOW M-Dots.
So based on that test, in typical MPOW fashion, just like I thought, for indoor use, I think these would be really good. They worked well to focus on my voice, and my voice was pretty accurate, even with a little bit of noise in the background. But of course, you can decide for yourself based on what you just heard, what you think of the mics. Okay, so let's wrap it up. These are $25 earbuds. This is another MPOW earbud with their signature Bass Plus sound. They have excellent passive noise isolation, Their physical buttons are actually quite good, and they have wingtips that just makes them excellent with excellent sound for working out. And if you're looking for a DOT style earbud with physical button controls at a really reasonable price from a reputable manufacturer, these should definitely be on your list. I would say on the con side, they're a little bit of a larger earbud. They're probably not recommended for people with smaller ears. They have that micro USB connection, which you just need to be aware of. That's a little bit of an annoyance. The battery life is only 4 hours, and the Bluetooth range isn't that strongest. I mean, to sum it up, those are all really small issues. So what can I tell you about the MPOW M-Dots against some of the other inexpensive MPOW earbuds like the M30, the M12, the Flame Solo? Man, I would really go out and choose the earbuds between these on the features and style that I was looking for. I mean, sure, the sound quality does vary, but I don't think that the sound quality on any of these would outweigh the true differences in the features and the style of the earbuds. So let that be your guide in choosing your MPOW earbuds from these four. And with that, let me say thanks for watching my review of the MPOW M-Dots. Stay safe, everyone. So Zen out.